So today is normally my weigh-in day. It's Tuesday, and I have been solidly for just a little over a week now been being more mindful about my food and practicing what I want to practice with my eating habits. And I was realizing last night, right before bed, that my mental stuff is kicking in. I was 100% on board last week with not weighing myself this month. And I know that weighing myself weekly puts me in a weird mindset. I know that no matter how much I deep down know what causes weight fluctuations, and that small bits of time are not adequate enough to really have a good idea of your progress and your success, I still get in that mindset that I get upset if I don't see what I hope to see. So I know the best thing for me at this point is to not weigh for this month and just make, like I said in my last video, a valiant effort to do what I feel like I need to do, and then weigh myself at the end of the month, probably right before I go and pick up my wedding dress. So I started freaking out last night. Not freaking out, but I started getting worried about whether or not that was a good choice. My mindset started going into, what if I'm not doing well? What if this isn't working and I'm gaining weight? And then at the end of the month, I've now gained weight and I'm in a worse situation and struggling with being able to fit in my dress and all of those things. And although that's a concern, I guess I'm hesitating to say it's a valid concern. It is a possible concern, I guess. I think ultimately it doesn't make a lot of sense. Worst case scenario, I'm maintaining. I am being very mindful about my food. I'm not overeating, and I'm sure not eating like I was in the last couple of months. So that has to account for something, right? It has to account for something. Worst case scenario, I'm just maintaining, and that's all I need to do. I am not trying to have a 30-day crazy diet before my wedding, because that's not the point. The point is for me to not go insane 30 days before my wedding and just maintain. And if I lose a little, that's cool too. But maintaining is all I really want to do so that I can make sure I fit in my dress. That's the only thing that matters to me. Being healthy, being active. And that's the other thing that I'm not really factoring in, is that I'm trying to be more active. I'm not doing anything crazy, and right now the weather is pretty awful, so it's really hard for me to get motivated. But I am moving more, little bits here and there. I have like a portable little cycle thing, little pedaling. It's an under desk cycle, but I don't use it at the computer because I actually find it really difficult to do. But I've been using that while I'm watching TV, and I've been trying to add in more movement in general. So that is part of the equation here. All of this to say, it's just crazy that I literally tried to talk myself last night into weighing anyway. I said in my previous video, and I really do mean it, a week is a long time to wait. It goes by pretty quick, but I just start getting real antsy around that 7-8 day mark. And I'm like, I really want to see how I'm doing. And even though I have no evidence to support that is good for me or is helpful at all, this probably comes from years and years of weighing myself weekly, with Weight Watchers, doing weekly weigh-ins. And I mean, it was just what you do to track your progress. But I know that it's not an accurate way to do that. And I know that it is not a healthy thing for me. So this is really testing me. I had a moment where I thought maybe halfway through the month, maybe I weigh myself halfway through the month, and that way I have a good idea partway through if I'm doing okay, if I'm maintaining or losing. But then I thought, okay, well, what happens if I'm not? What happens if I've gained a little bit of weight. Do I then spend the second half of the month absolutely frantically freaking out about my food? What's the worst that can happen in a month's time with being mindful? So obviously I'm not just throwing caution to the wind and doing whatever I want. The worst that can happen is that I'm maybe up a couple of pounds. Because I would have to be seriously overeating to be gaining some serious weight. So logically, and this is me just rationalizing with myself and filming it. So I just realized that's all I'm doing here is I'm like, oh, I'm gonna document this. No, I'm just rationalizing it out loud so that I can comfort myself. But I guess you get to see that. Worst case scenario with me being mindful and doing everything, I'm not going to gain a huge amount of weight and it's not a big deal. So I need to just stay the course. And as I told my fiance yesterday, this is me practicing self-trust, practicing that I know what I'm doing, that I have the information and the data that I need to be making this decision, and that I trust myself to be making the right decision for myself. And honestly, in therapy, we've been talking about that a lot in a different context, but having confidence, self-confidence, shows up in a lot of different ways in your life. And I think this is one of them. I have so little self-confidence that I actually know what I'm doing and that I actually have learned and gained all this information over this time, and I can make a solid decision for myself and for my body. So this is me practicing self-confidence. I have this. Okay, so it's been another week and I figured it is time for a bit of an update on where I am, both physically and mentally. It has been quite an ordeal to get myself mentally in the right headspace for not weighing myself. I was mentioning it came a bit of a surprise to me. I know that it's very ingrained in me to be tracking my progress and weighing weekly from years and years and years of experience with that. But I also have known for a long time that that doesn't work for me mentally. And the best thing that I can do is just trust myself and work through the process. So it's been difficult, but I'm feeling like I'm kind of in a groove, and I'm trusting myself a little bit more. I keep, occasionally twinging and like, oh, I kind of wish I could figure out where I'm at and how I'm doing. But this has been a really good opportunity for me to focus on non-scale victories and to focus on how I'm feeling, because ultimately, if I bring everything back to videos that I've been doing for years now, I really care about how I feel and how I'm getting through the process and the big picture way more than these small little micro moments in in the entire process. And so focusing on how I'm feeling, focusing on just, is this working for me on a mental aspect? And am I feeling good? Am I feeling full? Am I feeling hungry or snacky? Do I have more energy? Those are things that are very important to me. And I've been doing really well with that. I feel like I'm sleeping fairly well. I don't know if that has anything to do with my food. I was suspicious that my increased sugar was a problem with my sleep and everything. I've been focusing on having decaf tea at night if I want a warm glass of tea, and wearing earplugs. I started wearing earplugs again. The white noise I thought was helping me sleep. I put on some white noise, like rain sounds, and I think that was sort of helping, but I found just drowning everything out and putting in earplugs has been really helpful for me. So I'm feeling really good in that respect. I'm feeling like I have energy, and that I am a bit motivated to do things where I wasn't before. That is to say, the weather is still pretty awful and I haven't been getting outside as much as I want to, but still finding ways to keep moving and staying fairly active inside has been something I've been trying to do, and I will slowly get better at. And then the other thing that I started realizing was there are other ways that I can track my progress other than the scale. I've talked about this many times. I've celebrated those non-scale victories and those, those other ways to track progress before. But for some reason, I'm so focused on the scale right now. And it's crazy considering what I know. I shouldn't be so focused on the number. So for the honeymoon, we have one really fancy meal planned, and they have a dress code, and I bought a specific, very nice dress that I wanted to potentially wear for that dinner. And it just sort of barely fit me when I bought it. And I was like, that's okay. I've got, months to go. Well, we know at this point what happened as the months went on towards the end of the year. So I tried it on shortly after Christmas, and we could not zip it up. My fiance could not get it zipped up for me. And it was really discouraging. I bought a replacement dress, a backup dress, and another option. It was on sale. So, I have another option for me, but I still, in the back of my head, was like, I was kind of looking forward to maybe wearing that dress. It's beyond something I've ever really worn before. And I'm just keeping it in the back of my head. And I realized the other day, I can try that on right now and get a good gauge of my progress and how things are going by trying on the dress instead of stepping on the scale. So I tried on the dress and we were able to get it zipped. And not only that, it didn't feel overly tight. I felt like that was very promising. And that was a really good opportunity for me to take a breath and just say, chill out, Stephanie. You've got this. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I have to trust myself. I have to just trust that all of this effort to learn and to grow and to understand myself can be then used to better myself. The whole point of learning and growing and paying attention and being mindful is so that I can actually do something with that information. So I'm working on trusting myself. I'm halfway through the month. I am 19 days away from getting married. I've got a lot going on. But I feel like I've got things handled and I feel like I have things under control. I also had a really crazy weekend. The temperatures dipped really, really low and our hot water pipes froze. So it was a really rough weekend of babysitting the house and keeping faucets running and trying to thaw things out and not being able to shower for a couple of days. And it was a bit of a rough weekend. And I had a couple of times where I really thought, it would be nice to just order some food and take a moment to not think about everything that I'm doing right now. And I stopped myself a couple of times. So that's not going to solve your problem. What we're making for dinner has no need for hot water. So, I mean, and if we needed it, we could boil it. Like there's no legitimate reason to have to order food. And it wasn't going to solve my problem. It wasn't going to fix my problem. And I had all of my food planned out. I had delicious meals settled and figured out. And I did. I plugged through this weekend. I got through those uncomfortable feelings and I had things handled and under control. And I feel like I'm actually making good, positive decisions for myself, and I'm not letting my emotions, my thoughts, my feelings control anything at this point. I'm just moving forward. Feeling good.